Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Asian report for the 9th of August, and starting with the ASX here on the daily chart, I just want to go over two counts that we've been over before. So one of the counts is that we can use wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave, and the fourth wave here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the fifth wave here. It kind of makes sense, but we can also look at this 2 here in terms of 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4 and 5 here for wave 1 here, and ABC back for wave 2 here, and that would leave all the way up here for wave 3 here. And wave 4 here would pull back to pretty much where it is now in terms of if this was wave 2 here to wave 3 here. So the 38.2% retracement levels here, but because we're looking at working with a large number here, 6,500, a medium level, it's okay for that to come into that space there. So it is possible that wave 4 is here and we can move straight up from this point here, because this move down through here, as I mentioned before, what I was waiting for, and still possible to see, and we'll look at this too, we've just got two things to work with here. So the first thing is that, do we end up with 3 waves down here, which is that low here? We can look at that as an A and a B and a C down to here, or we can look at it as 1 and 2 and 3 here, going back for 4 and down for 5. Because if we get 5 waves down here, then we know that after an ABC correction, we're going to get another 5. And this is the one that we wanted to short over here. But I need to know if we get 5 waves down here, and that's what we're working on at the moment, and that's what we'll look at right now. So on the 4-hour chart here, just breaking that down a bit here. So from the top here, we can count down wave 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 5 waves here of a smaller degree taking us down for a third wave here. But that could also be, you know, realistically, that can also be an A and a B and a C wave here, and the market can move straight up from this point here. As a wave 4 here, we would normally look for wave 4 to pull back to 38.2%, which that's where it is now. Okay, so if that's the case, then we'll see this move down through here, and we would need to look for short trade opportunities, setups within all of this. We don't want to trade against the trend. We need to have evidence of a down move before we can trade short. So that's kind of it really in a nutshell. We know that this level through here, which is 6,590 area here, but we always gravitate to the closest largest number. So the 6,600 would be the important point here. And when we're working with that large number there, we would work it with it in such a way, we would need to look at it in a bit more detail, but we would look at it in terms of asking the question, is that number supporting the market? Is it a tested support, or is the market struggling at that number and it can still drop from that point? Is it supported or is it not? That's the question, because that's the number that we'd use to go long on. So yeah, so we look at this here as a possible wave 4 at the 38.2% retracement level. That's what we've been considering, and yeah, and we're kind of there now. So let's go in and have a look at this. The hourly chart's not going to give much more detail here, but as a wave 3 here, we can look at this here in a couple of different ways, but all of this move here, none of these lows have made a new low here below this one here, because it would be tempting to put there's 5 waves in this one, so it would be tempting to put this here as well as a truncated 5th wave, not making a new low but having 5 waves in it. So that's also possible there as well. It's crossed my mind, but I haven't seen that on the other markets around the world, so I'm not going to go with that. So at this stage here, we can look at this as an A wave here, and then an A and a B and a C for an A wave here, smaller A wave, 3 waves here for a B wave and down for a C wave here. So an A and a B, and then we're going up for a C wave here. And a C wave, it's got 5 waves in it, unless it's a triangle. So we have got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for that. We can look at that in a little bit more detail as well, which I'll do now. Just go to the tick chart here. Just bring in some more data here. So this is how I've got it labelled at the moment. So I mean, it's tempting to put wave 3 here and green wave 4 over here, as I mentioned before, and have wave 5 down here, and that will give us 5 waves down here. So that sort of crossed my mind, but I can't see that with the other markets around the world. They're much higher in this instance here. So I'm just going to, for the time being, just leave that and put that here. But it also does give us the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 here in this case. There is a possibility of another move up in terms of, it doesn't count very well here as wave 1, so it's also possible to put wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and then have this as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here for the 3rd wave here, and having a 4th wave here, and then having one more move up through here to complete this. And the reason for that is partly the count here, because I got 5 waves here and wave 2 here. So it can count like this. And when I look at, say, another market, this is the US, this is the Nasdaq here, and this is off the low here. So this is a 15-minute chart. It's the whole move down through here, and this market has moved up to the 61.8% mark here. But in saying that here, we can look at this here as, the A wave and a B wave here. But that doesn't, none of this from that point, this side here, that doesn't interest me here, because we can count that as an impulse wave to the upside, as an A wave or wave 1. What interests me here though is this, because we can look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, and nice little 5 waves in here for 3, 4 and 5 here for wave 1 here. So if this is wave 1, we can see a nice strong 3rd wave here for wave 3. So that would still leave here a wave 4 to come into play, and then a wave 5 to the upside here. So the Nasdaq can move up to 7,800 here, but that that takes it away from takes it away from the 61.8%. And also too, with the US markets, we were, like the Australian markets, we were looking for a 38.2% retracement, but like we're way higher than that here. So it's kind of telling me that we're going to be moving up higher. So when we come back to the hourly chart here, for example, we know that the 6.6 here is the 38.2%, and it can fail from here. It might need, the cash market will open high, so it might have this little move here. The question is will it find support on that 6,000 after it creates this pattern? The pattern that we always look at is the classic trading levels pattern, isn't it? So we have the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, which will give us that 5th wave, and then we look for the corrective move, and then we look to take out these tops here in one way or another, so that would, if it moves up, we'll take it from that point. So we need that set up on the 6,600 here. So in one way, we really have to allow this to play out here, because this move here, it does appear that it's corrective because it's got overlapping wave structures. So I'm reluctant to go long, but the Nasdaq is telling me that it can move higher, and it's moved up to its 61.8%, where we're expecting it to only go to 38.2%, the same as the S&P 500. So they've moved up higher. So we may need to use the 6,600 as a catalyst to enter a long trade there, and that's how we would do it at this particular point here. So yeah, we need to leave it at that. On the downside here, we need to see, we would need from this, well, if it moves, I doubt if it, I mean, it can move down from this point here, but because the US markets are up so high, then our stock market's going to open higher. So we're likely to see, we're not likely to see this push straight down from here. We're likely to see it have a jump first and then move down. But obviously the ASX, this market here, the futures market, has got everything's priced into it already. So we won't see, we'll see a jump on the other on the stocks, but not so much on the indices here. So what we could do here is that any low below here, we could look to short at this time, but also that group 2 is really important as well. So if we go back to the tick chart here, and we can look at this here. We know that when we're working with levels, with 6,600 is our big number here. Then we've got group 1 above that. So we know that if we find support on group 1 here, the 30, then we can go along from that point, because the order flow will leave the 600 and start to look at the 50, the 5 here. On the downside here, we've got group 2. So this is from the top here of 30 down to 65 here. That's our swing range for any correction to occur at this 600 here. But support on the 630 takes us to the upside. Resistance in these levels here will take us to the downside. So we can get a position on the short side at 6572 as a retested resistance here. Then you can also look to add to the position once the 65 becomes the retested resistance, and then you can also look to add on the 50 here once that becomes the retested resistance as well here. So that would be the way to move either long or short here. But as I mentioned, there's likely to be another move higher here, lifted up by the stocks on the opening. But how far will it go? So you'll also need to keep an eye on the S&P 500 to see where that's moving to as well in its off hours, just as important. So just recapping here, we do need to allow this to complete and unfold here at this particular point here. But as I mentioned, it does appear that the Nasdaq will move higher, so this will move higher as well. And then what that does too, that puts us into a position where we've got, if this moves too much higher up into if it moves, say, up into this space here, well, obviously we're going to be long from the 660. That's cool. But moving up into here, where does that leave us? So it leaves us in a place where this move down through here would be in 3 waves here. And what does that mean? Well, that means that it's corrective, a corrective pattern. That means that the market can make new highs from this point. It can just move up and make new highs. Or because it's in 3 waves here, it can be part of another correction, part of the flat family or or a triangle. But what it does mean, it means that we would need to look at, the next thing we'd need to look at is bringing this down here. We would need to look at the resistance area of 61.8%. So in here, so the 6.7 becomes our target area for what we would look as a B wave. So I'll just copy that here. That would become an ABC for the A wave here. This will become the B wave here, and then we would look for a C wave coming back down here as well. But because it's part of the flat family, it's not really, doesn't need to make a new low down here, it just needs to give a double bottom down here as such. This whole thing could turn into a triangle as an A wave down here, a B wave here, a C wave here, a D wave here, and an E wave here. So, because we're talking all that kind of stuff, those type of corrections. So we could end up with a triangle pattern going sideways across here. So, if we went long here, then we would take profit at the 61.8% or close to the 6,700. And then we would look to see if we get support on this level here. And there's two things for that. We could look at 6.7, but probably more importantly, we would look at 6,730, the top of group 1 there. If that became the support, then it's likely that we're just going to continue straight and make new highs at that point. So really it's a game of tactics at this point, because we're stuck in a possible correctional pattern. Yes, we still may get 5 waves down. That's one possibility. We need to see that. I'm not too sure on that now because of the Nasdaq's move so high, and it's got higher to move. So it this wave 5 here does not looking that good at this stage. So we need to look for the next thing now. So the next logical step is to look to the 61.8%, and then we'll have to do the same thing we do here is the same thing that we'll have to do here. It's the only way we can actually logically take a next positive, safe step to trade. So that's what we'll need to do at that point. Alrighty, let's have a look at Hong Kong and India. So with Hong Kong here, we're in the same situation. It's got very much a, like the Australian, this is like much more like what the Nasdaq is doing, this strong move up through here as an impulse wave, and that should be reflected on the other side here. So the length of that should go to the length of that here. Because we got 5 waves in this little move here, that means that we're going to get another 5 over here, which we're getting the 38.2% here for we've got on the top here, we've got wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and wave 3 here, the same as the other global markets practically. So we could also look at that as an ABC pattern here as well. But we're going to stay with the wave 4 here, unless this number here, the 26.5, becomes the support. In terms of the trading levels, we have 25,000, which is a medium level. The next important level up from this is the 28. So it's part of the Fibonacci numbers as a price ratio. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 8 here. But also the halfway mark between that is always important. So the 26,500 is the halfway mark, so that's important. And yeah, if we get support on that, I expect the market to move up to that point. So we've got 5 waves here. So we've got an A and a B and a C here for this. So we can look at this here. Let's just put this in. So in terms of moving higher here, we would need to look at that as wave 1 here and wave 2 here, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and back for 2 here, 3, 4 and 5 here. So we would need to look at this in terms of still continuing to the upside, which will be in line with the Nasdaq, moving higher. But the question is will it find support here? That's the main point here. So we'll see that move up here, wave 4 and wave 5. But the question is do we get support here? So we'll see a move like that. And then the long trade here will be, we've got a flat one here. Copy that segment, that would go there. I mean, you could trade it long from here and go up, but if you're looking for the bigger picture, then it would be at this particular point here. So we need this to play out, this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here for this. And then we'll see. And if you wanted to go short from here, then the thing to do is there'll be a retest of that number there, and then we can just grab that and put that 1 point below here, and then also build in under the 6 here. There'll be a lot of support here, of course, and then we'll be looking back down at the 25 to take profit there again on that one. So yeah, we just need to be logical. We need to take the next logical step, and that's it. Let's have a look at India. Okay, so with India, we're doing the same thing as well. We've got wave 3 down here, as you know, or wave C here. I don't know, but you know, we did know that the move up here was in 5 waves, so that means that we were going to pull back close to the target area here, which worked out quite nicely in 3 waves here, an A and a B and a C here, and then we were looking to go just to find that top, and go long from there. So if you're long there, that's great. You don't want to go long here at the moment. We'll just chill out on that. Let's just have a look at this in a bit more detail now. So let's just put that there. Let's get these out of the way for a moment. I'm just looking, excuse me, just let me get this here. So that would be 1, 2, and then 1 and 2, nice strong third wave, 4th and 5. So we're in the 3rd wave there, 4th wave here, and 5th wave to, the 5th wave should be about the same as the 1st wave in that case. So we still got, this will pull back. From here, it should pull back, if that is the top. I'll just take it to that large number there just in case, but you can adjust that. So 38.2% retracement level is there, so that means that I'll just draw that straight down to there. And then we'll make a new high here, and then we'll have the same thing occur here. It'll be like that. So take profit there on that, and we'll leave the stop out the way, and then we can clean this up. And we'll just do the same thing here that we're going to do with the other markets as well. So we can look at going long there. We can also look to, I think we better wait on this one and go below here. That will be, okay, so obviously that's going to bounce off the 11,000, may go higher than that, but we're looking for that first low below the level and then the retest here. If the retest fails, then we want to be going short at that point because it's rejected that you just need these. It's so simple, but you need these things on your side. And look, they don't always work, but most of the time they do, enough to give you the edge, an edge. That's what you're looking for. So it'll be like that. And of course, we can look at that will be there somewhere too. And the sticking point for this too, another sticking point will be finding that high here, and then there'll be this problem here from that level to wherever that high is there. There'll be a lot of support. Obviously there'll be a lot of support there at 10.9 for this, so don't overtrade there. It will probably be a good idea if we are going down to also wait for this number to become the retested resistance, and also to the upside as well. You know, in a bullish market, this is the closest, largest number, and we'll be looking for that to become the support. So if that becomes the support, then what we want to do is we want to be building in on the long side. Okay, we'll be here on that one. Copy that. We want to be building in on 2 and 3 here as well. All right, so because this is where the next trend is going to be coming from. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.